A very, very warm good evening. This is Arunfoot Chaudhary. You are live on my YouTube channel, arunfoot. It is Monday, June the 16th, 2025. And we once more discuss the latest in Indian football, or maybe the things that could, should, would, needs to be happening in it. Those are maybe watching it even afterwards, the start of this video. If you like the conversation, if you like what you're hearing, do leave a like behind, share it with other people to maybe watch this live. And if you haven't, do subscribe to arunfoot here on YouTube so we can continue to grow the community. And maybe, as I say, if you're not watching it live, maybe you join us in one of our lives. And those of you who might be new and just watching, do subscribe to the channel and then join these lives, which I try to do regularly. So once again, welcome everybody. And before I start, once more, a reminder to the short videos that I try and make every day. Did something today about Kalyan versus Baichung. That's something which is simmering, so to say. Yesterday, the conversation about, how to develop new strikers. Kalyan Jobe came up with a few crazy ones. And of course, a couple of days ago, I did one which I titled Worst Ever Press Conference by the AIFF. So do watch the shorter videos. And as always, thank you for your support. EF asks, hi Arunavo, who's Watson Fernandez and TRP Sports? Are they responsible for the player inflation and agent nexus? EF, Watson Fernandez is someone who in the past used to be team manager of Churchill Brothers. I took on Watson at Mumbai City in 2014. He was our team manager in the inaugural season of the ISL. Watson later on worked himself up within the Mumbai City system and became head of football. And a couple of years, was it 2 years, 3 years ago, he left the club and started an agency and then joined hand with TRP Sports to be one of the influential agencies. Are they responsible for the player inflation? I honestly don't know if they themselves are or aren't. Agent nexus, again, you're calling it a nexus. I'm always very careful about these nexus conversations because if people are calling it that, then people don't know how the agency business around the world works. It works on relationships. It works on how can you work together with the people running clubs, how you have relationship with coaches. You place, to some extent, coaches who then take players from that agency. That's how it works in Europe, around the rest of the world. So I'm not sure if they are solely responsible. I think then we have to look at the whole agency business. I think that is how it operates. Is it the right way or not? Again, that's a different discussion. So yeah, that's how it is. How FIFA can help Indian OCI. Rushwa, it's not the job of FIFA to help India and its OCI issues. I think that's a question for the All India Football Federation to figure out, and that's the challenge I think that the AIFF has at this moment in time, and so therefore it's on AIFF and the Indian government. U23 and Women Asian Cup squad analysis. Vignesh, I think not much to say if I look through the squads. 1 second, let me just quickly once more go through the squads of the two teams that have been announced today. One squad, of course, being announced by Naushad Musa, the other one by Crispin Chetri. Again, Indian under-23s, I think I feel we're a bit weak on the goalkeeper's position because we've got Mohammad Arbas, Priyansh Dubey and Sahil. Also with strikers, I'm a little worried at the other end because I'm looking at Joseph Sani, Mohammad Sanan, Parthiv Gogoi, Suhail Ahmed Bhatt and Kuru Singh. So to me, Suhail Bhatt is the only real natural striker in this squad. So those two, again, I've got a lot of talent in midfield and let's see. India on the 18th take on Tajikistan, and then on the 21st, the Kyrgyz Republic. And in the women's team that Crispin has announced, again, a lot of experience missing. Again, a lot will depend, I guess, on Manisha Kalyan, on Soumya Gugulot. Yeah, the experienced players. India face Mongolia, Timor-Leste, Iraq, and Thailand at the 700th anniversary of Chiang Mai Stadium in Thailand. So therefore, let's wait and see what our women's team can do. Many OCI want play Indian football, but AIFF not interested. Rushwa, to say that the AIFF is not interested would be wrong. But the AIFF seem interested, but it's not, it is on the government to change the rules and regulations. If we don't change the rules and regulations, we all can discuss this as much as we can, but as long as the changes are not made and the rules and regulations by the AIFF, by the government of India, the AIFF is in no position to do so. How can you get into football club management like a CEO and sorry, 1 second. I seem to have a stability problem. Just 1 second. I'll be just back. Sorry, back again. 1 second. Let me just change the banner. EF was asking, how can I get into football club management like a CEO and head of football after an engineering degree? Would an MBA help? EF, to me, if you ask me, and my approach in this is a little different than I think a lot of other people, practical experience. An engineering degree is not going to get you into top management of football, right? So experience is going to be where you need practical experience, will be, in my opinion, very, 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 very crucial. Otherwise, I feel it's very difficult to operate in football. And I say, I hear from a lot of people, oh, you know what, I'm a big football fan. I follow this, I follow that. I know the stats and all. All of that is very, very nice. But to me is the practical side of experience. So let's see. Why people are still busy with comparing our recent coaches? Do you feel the coaches were the major reason for our downfall? Mahesh, I don't think it's only I think the coaches are the final straw of the problems that we face currently, right? I think that's the reality, you know. And it is the system, and it is surely the AIFF, it is surely the clubs, the academies, it is surely also the general system. Therefore, yeah, the coaches are part of the problem. I think Igor Stimac did a lot of damage after Steven built something, I would say. You know, Steven Constantine built something which I felt was quite good. But Igor Stimac has, and again, Manolo has not been able to turn things around. Why is Crispin Chetri still coach? He did horribly with Odisha C and now with India. AIFF, a question to ask the AIFF. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how the AIFF appoints coaches, keeps coaches, gets rid of coaches. So yeah, that's the thing. Many OCI want to play India, but AIFF not offer opportunity. Rushwa, that's not true. I mean, the problem is not on the AIFF. And this one, again, the AIFF can lobby as much as they want with the government. As long as the government doesn't change anything, nothing's going to change. So therefore, this, big problem. A decent squad, but not the best. Yeah, Banjab, most probably. Your thoughts on Bajam Bhutia's statement on Kalyan Chaubey? Also, if Bhutia comes in, will it help us in any way? Mahesh, I don't think so. I think, with all respect that I have for Bhutia, that he's achieved and played for India, but would he be the right choice? Would he be the right candidate to head the AIFF? I don't think so. If you ask me that way, I don't think Bacham Bhutia would be the right president of the AIFF. I think we need someone new. We need someone fresh, and I think the leadership of the AIFF is very, very crucial for us if we want to move ahead. Stephen Constant put out a heartfelt post on how he wasn't appreciated for his work. Yes, I mean that's a given, right? So that's the problem. If AIFF not offers OCI and PA opportunity after taking Indian passport, why leave their country? Rushwa, what is the AIFF going to offer them? What are you expecting the AIFF to offer the players? Right? Again, you're going on and on and on and on. This is not an AIFF problem. This is a problem at a much higher level than the AIFF. The AIFF actually factually cannot do anything in this. Just except lobbying with the government to allow players of Indian origin to represent us. When India conducted FIFA U17 World Cup, we hoped on Komal Thatal, but we couldn't make him to future. After it's not on. We didn't make Komal Thatal. I think also, let's be honest about it. I felt at the time that the hype around Komal Thatal was a little too much, in my opinion. That we were talking a lot about Komal Thatal this, Komal Thatal that. And we didn't look at the player and didn't look at his development. And to me, there was a lot of expectations, injuries there, decision of joining wrong clubs. So those things at some stage do then add up, and Komal Thatal is where he is now. Sadly, where I would have liked to have seen him somewhere else, be one of our stars, but he's not. Bangladesh League offer Origin play league. Yeah, but Rusha, do we want Origin players to come and play in India? I don't. I want the Origin players to play in Europe, to play in North America, to play elsewhere. Aren't we wanting that Indian players go abroad? You don't want to bring the players into the country. This is the wrong approach. We should get our players to go abroad. We need to be very, 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 very clear about what we want with from our players and with our players. And that is something of a problem, right? And that is something of a huge problem at this moment in time, that some people want them to come here, How was Stimac able to get results with this same team? Yeah, if he didn't, did he? Steven did in the past, yes, but Stimac from 2024 has not gotten a result with this team. Since January 2024, the only win was in March under Manolo against Maldives. So the question is not, did he get the result with the same team? So therefore, I don't know how you come to that conclusion. Hi Kumar, welcome back. Is Tete Amar a good candidate for AIFF presidential role? Can he become president? Hannibal, yes. To me, potentially yes. But again, Tete is now a minister in Mizoram. He's the minister, amongst other things, about sports. And I'm not sure if Tete Amar has the time in his work schedule to come and be AIFF president. And sorry, that's to me the challenge that I see with Tete. But as a candidate, surely he would be a very good candidate. Ona, next week, ISL club owner, CEO, and FSD are going to meet and discuss the situation. Okay. I've not heard anything, so I don't know where you're getting this from. Again, at the moment, does FSDL at the moment exist? I think that should be the question it should be asking. FSDL doesn't operate at the moment, right? Reliance themselves are talking about things. So I don't know. So what is your opinion to increase number of foreigners in ISL? I think it is good. Aftab, I don't think it's a good idea. I think the 4 foreigner rule is the right one. Yes, if you had 5 or if you had even more 6, the quality of the ISL go up. But again, what does it mean for Indian football? It would mean that less Indian footballers would be playing on a regular basis in the ISL. We need an AIFF president who can convince government to allow PIOCI player to play for Indian nation like Thailand, Malaysia, Hong Kong, able to beat us because they have origin players. Estas, yes, that's a nice job description for an AIFF president. But the point is, it is something which is very, very political, very, very complex, very, very complicated. So very, very complex, very, very complicated. And in my opinion, it's not that easy to just say, hey, listen, you know what, government, do me a favor, change the rules, allow PIOs, OCIs to play for us, and it's done. I think it is not that easy for someone to come in and do that with the government of India and request them for the same. So therefore, it is, in my opinion, and it was, and it is a challenge. And, that's a reality. So therefore, PIO OCI, if that is your yardstick for a new AIFF president, then you're setting up the new president to fail, because it is not something which is a given thing that you go in and you want to change things and it's going to happen. It is, I think, a very, very tough challenge on anyone to come into the AIFF and say, you know what, I'll talk to the government and I'll get PIO OCIs to play for us. What should we do exactly to have players good enough to send them to foreign league? Better basics to start off with, right? At grassroots level, teach them the basics, work on it. Tactical awareness, technical abilities on top of that, things which are normal in the rest of the world. I think that's the biggest challenge I feel that Indian football has at this moment. Mumbai City FC will bring back Des. Coach Rushwan, no. As far as I know, it doesn't look likely that Des will continue. It will come back. At the moment, it looks like that Kratky will continue and that Mumbai City is trying to rebuild with a young and talented squad. If Reliance is not interested in ISL, then do we have a chance of any other big conglomerate to invest in our football? No, Ayush. Have you heard any big corporate, any big Indian company saying, you know what, I want to come into Indian football, right? That is, if you ask me, is our biggest problem at this moment in time. If you ask me, that's the biggest challenge. If you look at this team of people trying to run football for the ISL, so therefore, I don't see any big corporate coming forward. If they're not there, I don't know. A proper coach with U23 team and time can beat the senior team, so the midfield looks good. Akni, do you really think so? To win, you need players to score goals. The AIFF president was talking about strikers. Look at the strikers in the Indian under-23s, or players perceived to be strikers. I found it very funny on Friday that when they have when they made the presentation of the AIFF, that who all was being described as attackers, forwards, or strikers, right? We have as forwards in the under-23s Joseph Sani, Mohamed Sanan, Parthiv Gogoi, Suhail Ahmed Bhatt, and Kuru Singh. To me, the only real striker is Suhail Bhatt, because even Parthiv Gogoi is not an out-and-out striker. Yeah, so that's the reality. Who best coach in ISL? Rushwa. If you go by results, you would most probably say Molina. If you see it from a development perspective, interestingly, despite failure with the national team, most probably would Manolo. So basically, we're effed if not Reliance. Yeah, Hannibal, that sums it up. Yeah, sadly, yes. So do you think AIFF or Kalyan Chaubey is under any kind of pressure from fans because of national team performance from last year? No. If you think that he was under pressure from the fans or from people within football or from the media or whatever, would we have had a press conference like on Friday? Would we have had a press conference on Friday where he's trying to say, you know what, actually I've done quite a good job and we're trying to rebuild and this and that and everything, and the problems were, I've inherited problems, I've inherited issues, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Then he would have, then if and this is it's a systematic problem, I think, in India in general. Right? People say, if you said, what, I say in the name of Indian football, of the AIFF, of the national team, I say sorry. If he simply said, in my opinion, sorry, I think that would have been good. But he was trying to justify things which are unjustifiable. He has created issues and problems, and yeah. Why as a club not make profit? Rusha, because their expenditure is higher than their income. The income is non-existent in Indian football. All the entities who run a club, who run an entity, are losing money. Kalyan Chaubey took us to 2012 where he started. No, he's not, Hannibal. How did he take us to 2012? What was started in 2012? He has taken us to a phase which is, I don't know what year you want to fix to it. But again, there has been, as long as I've been there, we were in the building phases. And over the last 3 years, so therefore for me, that's the problem. Right? So the U17 World Cup batch was technically more sound than the early 2000s one. They played 2 years together, exposure together. I wouldn't say that they were technically better. They were better as a team. That for sure. And that is one. I don't know. No, technically they were not. Because in 2000 we had 2 or 3 players who have said, there were players in the 2000 squad who had offers here from Germany after we had them here. So therefore, no comparison on that front. Can Indian national team play like Northeast United SC counter-attacking football? Hannibal, why are we fixated on what style we play? How do we play? So my problem is, when we're talking about this, I'm not stuck on the style. I think whoever is the national team coach has to realize what can the team play, and then play according to that. Have a reality check and say, what, we are able to play like this or we're able to play like that. But don't say, we're going to play like this. This is our way of playing. Doesn't work that. In my opinion, it doesn't work that way. We need to be realistic of what we have. And again, if you've got 1 or 2 players injured, suddenly your style most probably has to change because you're lacking those players. I don't understand this logic. Kalyan Chaubey calling press conference on his own, and there he's just not focusing. Issue saying all scripted old things and saying he's planning 10 years ahead. Shanlata. Because there is no reality check. There's no understanding of what has happened. So that's the problem. And if Kollan hasn't understood that these are issues and problems that he needs to address and needs to look at, then what are we going to talk about? How are we going to focus on the issues and problems that we seem to have, right? And therefore, if there is an understanding, so therefore, that's the issue. So to me, it's a huge problem at this moment in time. Yeah, and what do we say? What do we do when there is no understanding for the fact that what is all happening, right? So therefore, for me, is yeah, that's the reality of things. So we have no more things to better our football. So I said to make quality foreign players, number increase Indian player to get quality on. Other Indian players get chance, other league. No, after I don't think that's the logic that works. If you have to find the middle path between number of players playing, foreigners and Indians, and I think the 4 players is a good thing because it gives you the possibility to have 4 key players who can, build your team, build your spine, and on the other side also gives enough exposure to Indians. If you would say, let's say 6+5, we saw that in the Super Cup last year when East Bengal won. We saw Odisha FC versus East Bengal, one of the best matches of the season. Why? Because you had 6 foreigners on both sides, right? Okay, that's good for the league, but it's not good for Indian football. So therefore, we have to find a middle path between what's good for Indian football and what's good for the league. So, sir, how to show disappointment collectively from fans and put them under pressure? The under pressure part, I don't know, to be very, very honest to you, because if you see Friday's press conference, that could have been something, if he's understood it as a president, what's the issue? He's not, right? So therefore, for me, that's one. The disappointment needs to come out most probably physically in rallies or other things that the mainstream media also reports about it. I think that's the main thing, that if Indian football fans are protesting, that has to, so yeah, that's something which is, that's the problem. I think the fans, and I think those who are, for example, based in Delhi, I think need to do a small little protest outside Football House and show their displeasure. Just let 50, 100 people gather and just put up banners. Don't do anything. Don't be aggressive and just put up banners. Ask questions. Maybe that is something right to do. Peaceful protest, very important. Peaceful protest. Don't get to an aggressive stance or whatever. No, peaceful protest. Just ask questions on banners on that. Do it on social media. I think that's what you need to do. Jay Gupta 2.0 at East Bengal. Guardiola, I don't know how many players have been now linked to East Bengal in the last few days or not. That Jay Gupta potentially needs to move on from FC Goa, I think, is clear to him and to everybody else as well, if he wants to get game time and maybe get back into national team. I'm still hearing he supposedly wants to go back to Spain. So let's wait and see what happens. Offering crash course to development world-class striker, does Kalyan know what football development means? How the hell did he become AIFF president? Shanlata, yeah. How did he become president? I think there's a lot of people to be asked that question. Those who now question him are those who made him president. So let's be very, very clear. That's one. And the second thing is an ex-player. And that's what I say, if you watch my video, Kalyan versus Baichung today, if you haven't, because I speak about it, where our problem is very, very simple, that we have expectations from our president, from our leader, which needs to be fulfilled. And an ex-footballer doesn't automatically mean that he understands football. Yeah. The early 2000s batch was technically good, but why is too much physically poor work ethic? No, because it was a different time. It was a different time. So, and physically, everybody has developed over the last 20 years. Football has changed. 20 years ago, I don't think you would have had a machine like Kylian Mbappe playing. Let's take up the world's best. Alphonso Davies. You didn't have those kind of players. This football evolves, and the point is that we are trying to catch up. But football is, while we are trying to catch up to the current stage, football has evolved even further. That's a problem. Why ISL can't produce player? Rushwa, don't just name it on ISL, name it to the whole Indian youth system. Then you ask the question, because again, my biggest problem are the coaches. We don't have good enough coaches at grassroots level. We have a wrong focus of trying to win at grassroots or youth level also. We need to focus on developing the basics for the players. If we don't teach the players the basics and say, listen, guys, your footballing capabilities need to be good. Otherwise, we will not be able to develop. And that is our biggest challenge at this moment in time. Any hope for U23 in upcoming friendlies? Shanata, I'm open to whatever those boys play in a couple of days. First against Tajikistan and then against Kyrgyz Republic. These are friendly matches. For us, the challenge is in September. How Everest knows less about player development than an average fan on Twitter? Ayush, because the logic of that an ex-footballer always will understand football, So, yeah. So, hypothetical scenario: how much a good bunch of 6 foreign scouted properly from can cost for a team as salary turns combined? Only it depends on what kind of players you're getting, what league. You could go to a small league, I don't know, in Scandinavia and get 6 good players, and you would most probably not even play 10 courses of them, right? So, I don't know. And scouted, right? If people, I laugh at the fact. That people, our clubs are scouting, are going out. No, they're not. Our clubs, they don't. Someone or the other is telling them, go this and that. They're not doing their own scouting. Don't believe in this BS that our clubs are scouting. The first question today was about this agent nexus. On one side, yes, you could call it a nexus, but on the other side, without agents, our clubs wouldn't be able to operate because they don't have a scouting network in that way, right? Big clubs in Europe now have 4 or 5 people actually just manning a scouting department where they actually track players around the world and then think, okay, XYZ player, according to the requirements of the club, this is what we need their body on. You don't have that. So scouting and Indian football doesn't exist. ISL should be stopped, no quality already, and is ruining our players. Also, the schedule is tightly packed, so ISL is not important, the national team. Shamlata, you need a league, right? And it is good to be that we have a tight schedule in general. But yeah, if you stop the ISL, what are you going to play? Do you think any of our players at this moment in time would go abroad and would be able to play abroad? That would be my simple question to anybody, right? We don't have the quality at this moment in time. Indonesia origin call, Man City origin football player, Man City. Okay. Rushwa, they are on a different level. They are working very, very hard. So yeah, that's what Indonesia is doing at this moment in time. Any idea for next coach? Let Manolo resign or let Manolo be relieved of his job first, right? It looks like he's a hostage for another team, as a hostage for another couple of weeks of the AIFF. Yeah. From Delhi, we'll try to follow the same. Thanks, Ogni. We need OCI players immediately. Sokmi, yeah, but are they coming immediately? It's not going to happen seriously in short, yeah. Damn, I just saw your interview with APJ Abdul Kalam. Yeah, Manibal had the pleasure of interviewing the former president of India. Club World Cup seriously becoming the biggest joke and flop tournament in FIFA history. Better give players some rest, already packed schedule FIFA window user season on this Club World Cup now. I don't think so, even though, of course, Bayern thrashed Auckland City yesterday. I think it just shows you the difference between an amateur player from New Zealand taking on one of the best teams in Europe. Very simply. So, so therefore, I don't know. I mean, to me, the Club World Cup is an interesting test. I think, again, you have to accommodate. I know there's been a lot of criticism today in Germany that why Bayern Munich has to play a team like Auckland City, but Auckland City needs to be there, right? It is good for world football that a team from Oceania is part of this competition. I think it's a very, very good thing. But again, it shows you the gulf of distance between the top in Europe and between, amateur football in Oceania. And if you would look at other clubs as well, I mean, Auckland City has, I don't know how many times they've won the Oceania Champions League. The others are even weaker, right? Malaysia call Argentina, who play in Spain, La Liga, and what you mentioned are entering strong. Yeah, Bushra, they're all Southeast Asia. They're working on it. Right? The Thailand national women's team is now called up. I think 6, 7, 8 women from Europe and North America. Indian football becoming on foreign YouTube channels. I'm criticized, and yes, we deserve it. See, Sanlata, yes, criticism is good. Some of the criticism is useless because people are just criticizing us for views. Therefore, I also say is, guys, pick your sources, right? Also, don't watch everything because you support us. You support people if you give these channels views, right? So therefore, you have to be clear what you want to watch, what you don't want to watch. And if you, I don't watch a lot these days. Actually, I've moved away from watching a lot because I'm fed up of all those things, right? So yeah, that's the thing. So again, a German second division, low ranked team player, 32 plus age, if came to us, what salary would you look at? 3, 4, 5 crore or more. Me, again, theoretical questions. It depends if first of all, if the player wants to move, right? And the German players. If I'm playing second Bundesliga, it's like this Irvin thing. Why would a Bundesliga player, even though you're an Australia captain, leave Germany and go to Mohnbagan or go to the ISL? Because you can't compete, and therefore I don't know how much salary that would be, what you would have to offer, because some of the guys are on, I don't know, as low as 60, 70 lakhs here in Germany, right? They would be on 60, 70 lakhs. So how much would you have to offer them? I don't know, to tempt them. I think a lot of these guys will not even be interested to go to India. You think, and this is the problem that a lot of people in the ISL have, that they think if I throw around with money, I can get XYZ, right? And that's the reality. Which political leader or person do you think has the ability to lead AIFF out there in the dark times for Indian football? Oh, Krishna. Good question. Political leader. I am not that well versed with the political landscape in regard to politicians and Indian football. I honestly don't know. I think I have 2 or 3 people in mind, and I don't want to put out the names in the public domain because otherwise, there will be people who will be supporting. A lot of people will be doing character assassination to get these people not into a position to go there. So yeah, if one more AIFF president comes, Indian football surely gets ruined forever. Let's see next month. Supreme Court verdict comes, AIFF election house, then ASM qualify and FIFA window. Shanlata, there are 2, 3 things. Let's see what happens. I think the Supreme Court verdict to me is a very dangerous one because it could impact Indian football in a way that could throw us into, and yeah, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens with the rest of it. Hi Naveed, don't you think we should sign Ashley Westwood as a coach eventually, as our next coach is most likely going to be an interim type of coach instead of a long term? Naveed, do you think that Hong Kong is going to release him? Would be my first question. I know that he was in a situation that a few days ago in Hong Kong, the discussions were like, we don't want him, we want to get rid of him. So that's, why we celebrate him for the wins with Afghanistan and with Hong Kong against us. In Hong Kong, one of my best school friends is a Hong Kong Chinese, and they don't rate him highly. So therefore, let's wait and see. Can't we as fans go and protest at AIFF? Of course, Pranata, it's up to you, right? So therefore, do whatever is needed. Hannibal says, I was in a WhatsApp group planning for a protest in Delhi, but they couldn't get more than 10 people together. And that's also a reality because most of the people in that group were school kids. So exactly the problem, I think, is also, Hannibal, you speak about it here, is I think social media outrage. Is there really that much of outrage in Indian football? The people who work in Indian football, a lot of them, again, are not even protesting about things. So therefore, for me, it's like, so therefore, for me, can you do it? Can you not do it? I would welcome it if the fans did it and it get a little bit of coverage and just listen, Indian football fans are protesting. Even a silent march or silent protest at football. Nothing more, nothing less. Don't make it anything which could be constructed to be violent or peaceful protest. Nothing more. So, but see, in Delhi, even to get, let's say, 50 people together to do that seems to be a problem. It was actually Westwood who transformed Chetri into a goal-scoring machine. It was his team which reached the FC Cup final, even though Roca gets most credit, plus the international experience. Naveed, I would like to disagree on that point because I think the goal-scoring transformation of Sunil happened a little earlier. That was Sporting Lisbon, because they worked on a lot of him, even though they didn't rate him for their team. But Sporting Lisbon worked a lot on him, and you directly saw it when he came back after 6 months and started playing for Churchill Brothers. Churchill Brothers in 2013 won the I-League, and Sunil was a key component. Certainly, Ashley has some involvement in that, but if you want to talk about things, we have to go back a little bit in history. Vietnam called Brazilian who played German Bundesliga. Yeah, Rushwa, is it? In press conference, a place where you do politics, where are you accusing Bhutia? There is no work, just blame game. And now Bhutia is going to do a press conference in Kolkata, most probably blame game coming. It's not coming, blame game is already happening, right? I mean, Baichung made accusations at Kalyan hit back. That's why I did the video today, because this is Kalyan Chaul versus Baichung Bhutia. It's sheer, to me, it's sheer comedy in some sort of form way, because on the field, Baichung Bhutia has been one of the greatest that we've had. Off the field, I don't know what his big contribution actually is. So therefore, that is something which I, and then Kalyan Chaube even more so. So yeah, like BCCI had good administration early 2000s and 2000. We need someone like that, good admin. Ogni, you know what? Let's be very clear. I think the AIFF, if you see where Indian football was in the 90s, that's where I started to closely follow. I first started following 96 when we started the NFL. Of course, in April 1998, I started IndianFootball.com, so I watched it even more closely. I think Albert Colasso, as the secretary, did a lot in the 2000s. And the 2010s, Kushal Das also did a lot, right? So thinking that Albert started his reign in his small little office at the Nehru Stadium in Fatorda, to Football House and other things, we've come quite a long way. The problem is that we were coming from such a low level of organization and structure that even those small successes that we've had to reach a higher level is not good enough if we compare, yeah. So let's see. I hope government allows us origin represent India one day. Yeah, sure. That's what I think all of us are thinking or hoping. Or most of us, let's put this way. Ashik left Mohun Bagan, good for him. I would probably take him over Liston now. Let's see, he will compete with Sunil left wing position. No, I guess. Will be interesting to see. Yes, could be. Could be also that he's used as a left back behind Sunil and then, overruns, because Sunil sometimes likes to stay back and drop back. Will be very interesting to see how they utilize him at BFC. Indian football ban coming, high chances are lowest ever time going, and now the ultimate award could be given to AIFF and us. Let's welcome the ban. We are only made for all bans. Shanlata, not that negative. Sir, there's only one solution for Indian football right now is FIFA and OCI, but I say there's no hope from government. I don't know how I will keep motivating myself to support Indian football. As I understand it, to me, I understand and I feel what, I get where you're coming from, but it's a difficult thing. It's a challenge in itself, I guess, and motivating yourself sometimes is very difficult. Indian football, yeah, we need to hope against hope, right? So that's the challenge. Priyanka Gandhi's son and Rahul Gandhi's nephew, Raihan Vadra, has done a podcast with Stephen Gonson and an Indian podcast and increasing AIFF about how ill-managed COVID bubble was. Okay, I haven't seen it, to can't comment. Any instance you felt people fail to understand, people must feel trapped? Yeah, of course. Murali, I very often feel And again, might sound arrogant from my side that when I speak to people and we want to talk about football in general and Indian football in specific, that you talk to people who really don't understand things. That's a feeling which I very often get. And a lot of people think they understand, and yeah, that's why to me, let's wait and see what can be done. Due to which a women's team was removed from the Asian Cup, AFC Asian Cup. Yeah, was it the AIFF? Was it the players? Again, that's a general discussion, right? Ashley Westwood or Constantine Morali? One word to describe Ashley Westwood. Honestly, I don't know what word I would use to just one word to describe Ashley. Ambitious, maybe? So when will the final draft of the new AIFF constitution be taken? Sort of supposedly sometime in July by the Supreme Court. Let them finish their 2-month holiday, and then let's see when they give us a date. It would have been so good that they fought for Indian football development like this and debated on Indian football future. The debate could have been productive, but no, they have to blame each other. But Shanlata, why do you think that a debate between these gentlemen on the future of Indian football would be fruitful? That's your first mistake, no? If you think that these gentlemen can have a discussion which is good about the future of Indian football, you're on the wrong side of things. Because only statement says Rushwa. Say you think government of India is interested in football, but people have Sai or AIFF can't give output. You might not have the expertise in sports, but if things are planned, AIFF could make it better. Ogni, again, no, I don't think the government of India is interested in football. And the government of India, to me, showcases, if you see how grants are given to sporting federations, this theoretical, I'm going to give it according to certain theoretical criteria, then you know that they don't understand sports. I need to look at sports in regard to the importance of that sport. If I'm using sport as a soft power, right? Football needs to be my most important sport because it's the only global sport, right? All my support for cricket, for hockey, for shooting, boxing, chess, whatever, you can throw it down the drain because the rest of the world doesn't care about it, right? I've said this, and I've said it with all due respect. All the things that people talk about chess, I don't see people talking about chess in the rest of the world, right? What do we care about? Europe cares about handball, basketball, right? Ice hockey. These are the sports that Europe cares about, right? North America cares about, what do they care about? Basketball, American football, baseball, and ice hockey. So you have those sports, right? And people tell me again and again, it's about cricket. No, cricket, nobody cares about cricket in the rest of the world. If you look at the people who are watching cricket, we're talking about our own people who are watching cricket. Cricket support is there in South Asian diaspora, period. That's nice logic. New president comes, blames the previous one for not qualifying the AFC Asian Cup. The next president appointed, he will 5 years later blame Lankan for AFC Asian Cup. Yeah, could be an approach. Huh? Who can be our next coach in FS is delaying Manohar's resignation. I don't know who's going to be our coach. I've had communication from a few coaches who are asking what's the situation in India, because the funny one is that people tell me, no, good coaches will not apply and all that. So good coaches will surely apply for the India job. The question is if the AIFF is in a position to employ them. That's the bigger question, because good coaches will want to come to India, to come and coach India. They'll be open to it. It's just that it can be afforded, right? There are coaches who worked even in South Asia or Southeast Asia, done development work, who would be willing to come to India. It's the question of, can we afford them? Can we give them what they need? So therefore, I'm not worried on that front. There will be good coaches. That's why I say, if you ask me about naming coaches, I don't go by Googling or looking through transfer market saying XYZ coaches. There will be coaches who I don't consider at this moment, who will most probably apply, and then you can, once you have your shortlist, then you can discuss it. Then who's going to be our next coach according to you? Should it be an Indian foreign? Naveed, foreign for sure. But again, as I told you, I am not going to speculate publicly, and I'm not going to say, again, I've had a few coaches asking me how to apply and all that stuff, and the process is not even started. So therefore, there are tons of coaches who will be interested to coach India. It's, do we find the right one? We always want shortcut. We have had shortcuts. We did jugaad with the last two coaches, and that's where we ended up where we've ended up. Manolo Marquez, good club coach, no doubt about it. But is he a good national team coach? The answer to me is very, very simple. No, he's not. So therefore, we have to do the homework, the groundwork to find the right national team coach. That is a challenge on us. What advantages will India have in global geopolitics if the football team becomes good? Krishna, I think our standing in geopolitics is not as good as we think it is, right? So that's a reality after all that has happened between India and Pakistan. No one has really come out in public and said, oh, you know what, we stand with India. So sports is a soft power which you can use, right? If you like it or not, Saudi Arabia is using sports as a very, very useful tool or as a soft power. A lot of people give them, abuse and this and that and everything, but the key political class are working with them. And sports is one of those factors. So therefore, Qatar has done the same thing. UAE does the same thing. So therefore, for us, sports can, and if we're going to do cricket diplomacy with, 99%, it's not going to work. Other countries, let's grow and develop all sports equally. Meanwhile, Indians, we're winning in cricket. We're the best in sports. We're winning cricket. Cricket is everything. Yeah, it is. I mean, a lot of countries have a sport which they favor, right? That's not a problem. But you have to be a multi-sports country, right? If we talk about England or let's say United Kingdom, we talk about South Africa, we talk about Australia, we talk about New Zealand. All these countries are good in cricket, but they're as good or even better in another sport, right? So that's what we need to, We don't get visa easily. Mac, yes, that's another thing, right? I mean, if you like it or not, the reputation of Indians has gone down in the last few years. Ask people who live abroad, they will tell you. I was speaking to people yesterday, the reputation of India and Indians has gone down dramatically. And that is because of the behavior of those people who are either tourists or people who have moved abroad because, they do not adhere to standards of that respective country. Hi, Ochut. Reality is AIFF won't be able to employ a good foreign coach now or in the immediate future. There will be some sort of compromise, unfortunately. That's a danger, that's a danger. And let's see what the AIFF does. I mean, my fear is that they will appoint someone Indian for the sake of doing it, and they will sell it as the biggest thing in the world. And I know a lot of people will be celebrating it. And to me, that is something that we should not do. To me, it's very, very clear. We need a foreign coach. And it's also something which people rarely speak about, but I know from players that the players prefer a foreign coach over any Indian any day. That's another problem that we will not speak about in Indian football. Hi, SCT is good coach only thing preventing India? No, it's not. Yeah. Or as you say, is good coach only thing that can save Indian football? No, it's SCT is a combination of the right coach, the right inputs from the federation, the will and desire of the players, and our system producing better players. I think that is what is holding us back. As long as Indian football doesn't produce better players, we are not going to move up in the system. We are struggling at this moment in time, right? So therefore, we are where we are, and let's wait and see what happens. That is our challenge. Our challenge is at this moment in time to find, can we find the right coach to give the right inputs? We need someone who's realistic, who's pragmatic. We need a Stephen Constantine or a Bob Houghton. That is the kind of coach that I think will help us. Sri Lanka called Germany, a German-based player play in Bundesliga. Now see results, Sri Lanka win 3-1 with Chinese Taipei. Rushwa, you mentioned multiple examples: Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Sri Lanka. Until a few weeks ago, we would have even added Bangladesh to that list. It is happening across. In other parts of the world, you don't even discuss it. It's just happening. It is most normal. Let's say North Africa, if you look at Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, for them to take on players who are born in Europe, it's a very, very normal thing. The other are Bayern is back. Hope we will win Club World Cup. Shovik, uh, it was impressive the way Bayern took the job against Auckland City FC seriously. I think that's the most important thing, because sometimes you don't take such a team. Again, this is a typical cup game, right? So you have to take your opponent seriously. You have to try and play against them seriously. I think Bayern did that very, very well. And it was quite impressive to see the least, and they sorted it out. And therefore, yeah, convincing 10-0. I mean, good thing was in the end, Thomas Müller scoring a goal, Jamal Musiala after his injury with a hat-trick. So therefore, for me, a great start to the competition. And yeah, let's see how far Bayern can go. You've got Boca Juniors and Benfica coming up. So yeah, let's wait and see. I really want to see an Indian as men's national team coach. Might be required to bury that line of argument for a long time. Could be a truth. Yeah, maybe it's that. But my fear is, even with bad results, these guys will try and get away. No? These guys are experts in spinning stories, right? You see those Indian coaches, they're spinning stories, and they're not willing to accept that this and that and everything, because they love, like with the people in positions of position of power, that they are trying to deflect here, left, right, and center. I'm studying here in Russia for my MBBS, and yeah, Indians do get a better representation from the indigenous people. It's quite infamous, actually, even though their ties are strong. Strong ties, Chinmay, has nothing to do what people think about you. India has strong ties even in Europe and North America, but the way I see this in Germany, right? In Germany, Indians have had, since the days that my father and his friends and others came to Germany, late 50s, early 60s. Indians have always had a very good reputation in Germany, very, very good reputation. But nowadays, again, they used to make a little bit of fun here and there about the way old Indians speak. There's a way about, and that, but they had respect for Indians, and that is gone. And that is my concern that I have at this moment in time. And how are Indians perceived in this part of the world? Illegals and scammers from India made the reputation even worse, but our government has to implement the laws, which they aren't. Very, very true, Blue. That's part of the problem. Sri Lanka improved ranking, 200 now, 198, improved day by day now. Yeah, Rushwa, they are. Can Sri Lanka qualify? Looks tough, but who knows? If you ask me, then Sri Lanka is most probably, at the moment, the most likely most likely South Asian national team which will qualify for the Asian Cup. By the way, that Bayern jersey is atrocious. Yeah, Chinmoy, I honestly don't know who designed that. It is terrible. I don't know. It looks like, yeah, I don't know if you've seen it, but it looks like a combination of someone tried Minecraft and didn't know what to do, and just put out something. Yeah, it's. I think the less we talk about it, the better. The worst Bayern Munich jersey in a long time. There is another Sri Lankan origin player captaining Oldham Athletic in the EFL, winning it, probably Yonganathan or something like that. Yeah. I think he's a player of Barnsley, if I'm not wrong, on loan at Oldham Athletic, and he won not the EFL, but he won the National League. Only way Indian football team will not lose any match is to shut down Indian football. We Indian football fans will also want feedback. Shovik, I don't agree to that point. I've heard this now from a lot of people saying, let's shut down Indian football. We're not good. We're bad. This, that, everything. Okay, fine. But shutting it down, boycotting football, to me, is not the way forward. We can talk about a lot of things. We can criticize a lot of things, but shutting down Indian football is, for me, not the way forward and how we are going to build Indian football. In my opinion, that's a very, very crucial thing. If we want to build, even if we are bad, to me, we need to keep supporting Indian football. We need to ask questions. We need to be critical. but you cannot say that we're going to stop supporting Indian football, which to me will be the wrong step. That's my opinion. I might be wrong, but my opinion has always been that you need to support and you need to ask questions. If you support and ask questions, that's very, very important. And for Indian football, that's, I think, the only way forward. And of course, also highlight those things. What we're doing, what is happening, what's not happening. That's the challenge. In my opinion, that's the challenge, and we need to be very, very conscious about that. And shutting it down is not the way forward. And let's see how far we can go. All right, over an hour on this Indian football discussion on a Monday evening. If you're liking what we're talking about, do leave a like behind, share it with other people as well so that they potentially can join in. And 18 likes so far. Thank you very much. Like if you are liking the conversation, are liking the discussion, share with other people to potentially join us. And those of you who haven't, please do subscribe to the channel. We're at 2,672. So we're slowly closing in on the 2,700 mark, or even on top of that, closing in on the 3,000 subscribers mark. And those of you who might not have subscribed, or those of you who have subscribed but never asked a question, do join in our stream, ask your questions, and I try to answer as honestly as possible, as you can see, everybody. So therefore, once more again, like, share, and subscribe, and also watch the short videos. The more of you who watch them, the bigger the reach gets. Did something on Kalyan Chaubey and Baichung Bhutia versus Baichung Bhutia today. Do watch it, where give a little bit of insights on those things. Yesterday, asked the question of how to develop Indian strikers after what Kalyan Chaubey said, and before that, of course, worst ever press con by the AIFF, or Indian football needs introspection and accountability. I think also a very, very important subject, and therefore please do like, share, and subscribe, and thank you as always for your support. The India coach might just get away with blaming the quality of players. Whoever becomes the coach and he wants to play the blame game, who does he blame? Players, AIFF, ISL, the rest of the system, right? That's the danger. And that's the problem. So for me, that's the challenge. Finding the right way of what do we do, how do we do it. That's the big challenge at this moment in time. Abhishek's like and subscribe. Thanks a lot, Abhishek. One under 21 Indian player should be made compulsory in playing 11 age ISL team. Kanath, might be an interesting idea, but the point is, has this, I get this, forced one player, young player into the system. Has it actually worked in our system? Simple question. Because if you're forcing an under 21 player to play, this means that the salaries for under 21 players will go up, right? So therefore, that's the point. Points of improvement have been put forward multiple times, but the real stakeholders keep deliberating for various reasons. Results are there for everyone to see in the last 3-4 years. Uchud, if people are bothered about positions but not really about Indian football, what is going to happen? We are there where we are at this moment in time, and therefore for me, that's the problem. If people really bothered about Indian football, that some people would, would publicly say, I've tried, I was wrong with certain things, and I take a step back. These people will never do that. They know if they really introspect, even for 1 millisecond, they would know, I'm harming the system more. So it's not going to happen. What's your starting 11 for national team sorry, Goku. What's your starting 11 for national team you think if they in the team will perform? Oh, that's a good question. At this moment in time, I would think Gurpreet Singh Sandhu in goal. I would play Roshan as a right back, Shubhashish Bose as a left back. Sandesh Jingan and Rahul Beke as my centre backs. Suresh and Apuya as my defensive Midfielders, Chante, Brandon, Ashik or Mahesh on the left. Ashik or Mahesh on the left, that would be my choice. And up front, Sunil Chhetri. That would be my 11, if you ask me. We need to support Indian football, we demand. Yeah, Rushma, we need to support it. We need to question it. So therefore, it's saying, oh, you know what, we boycott, we don't do anything. It's not going to help Indian football, right? So that's part of our problem, right? We cannot say we want to step back and not do things. It will not help. Good to see Manisha, Grace, Pyari called up for senior women's national team. Would be nice to see Baladevi and Sulanjana include as well. Yeah, I think especially Baladevi's international exposure, experience as a striker would help the Indian women's national team, right? So yeah, it's not there. So therefore, it's a miss for us, and yeah, let's wait and see. But by the way, what kind of politicians are there in AIFF press? They were asking for bilateral series like Border-Gavaskar Trophy. Probably they don't know there are more than 5 teams playing football. Sorry, kind of journalists. I think, Blue, that's what you meant. Yeah, that's Delhi journalism in regard to football. It's been poor. Reporters, yeah, journalists, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, I don't want to slag off people, but that's the level of journalism we have also, no? Right? Has anyone in Kolkata actually asked, for example, Mohan Bagan in regard to that registration ban? Nobody has. No. So welcome. Indian team should play many friendly matches with foreign teams. Kanat, we can only play at this moment in time the number of matches that are possible in regard to FIFA windows. So our problem at this moment in time is that you've got a March window, you've got a June window, September, October, November, and we are playing those windows. We're playing matches in those windows already, right? So outside of that, it gets a little difficult. We've got the SAF Cup theoretically in there. Otherwise, not going to get much more out of it. Is Baladevi injured? Uchud, not that I know of, but she's not been picked by Crispin for a while. I think Crispin has gone in and tried some younger female footballers and tried to play those. Has it worked? Again, you can judge, or others can judge if they want to. But to me, Baladevi to me is what to the Indian women's team is what Sunil Chhetri is to the men's, and therefore, if she's available, if she's fit, I would always pick her because you've got a natural leader in her as well, right? So therefore, that's something which we are missing at this moment in time, and yeah, it would be good, right? And I don't know. It's maybe I'm wrong, but that's my feeling. That if I had the opportunity to have Baladevi in my team, I would surely pick Baladevi because, again, for her experience, capabilities. Right, one sec. Sorry. Not only sports journalism in the last few years, the complete traditional journalism has gone pathetic. Yeah, Blue, because, yeah, it's we have become very sensationalized when it comes to the topic of media, right? So therefore, that's a problem, in my opinion, where if we want to talk about media, it is sensationalism rather than journalism these days, and that's the problem. And to me, but it is a huge problem that we've had now for quite some time. Hidden talent of Distin Kanlasu is wrestling. He's used every internal match. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Raj. As a journalist, you must feel about it too, especially as you follow sport journalism. Yeah, Blue. Again, the journalist in me, which still exists besides the management guy, is very disappointed, upset with what we have to fight, and but that is the reality of things in the year 2025, and it has changed, not for good, and yeah, it is a very challenging thing, and therefore for me, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how things at some stage hopefully do get better again, but I don't know where it's going to come from, because social media has also not been a help, right? So breaking news, speculation, false news, wrong accusations. Again, with do we know what is true, what is not true these days? That's a big problem. Remember the Brazil versus India match? We really fought, and sadly we had some drastically. Uchut, that match to me is something, um, Manisha Kalyan's goal and how we played. And even Brazil looked a little rattled initially. I thought, "Ooh, wow, who's this?" They didn't expect India to play the way we played. And Thomas Dennerby, if I look back at the coaches that I've seen, most probably has been India's best coach, right? And uh, Thomas Dennerby is that what Stephen Constance and Bob Houghton are to the men's team. And therefore, for me, Dennerby did a lot of things right. He improved the team overall. He improved also each individual player in some sort of form way. And therefore, for me, Thomas Dennerby did an excellent job. And that's something which you can't replicate in some sort of form way. And therefore, we are where we are at this moment. That we, in the end, ran out of steam, and Brazil had a certain level of class. So, let's see. Even is it a conflict they're playing silence also screens if it's a football? Yeah, Blue. That's look at also the coverage of the plane crash. Some of it, that data which shouldn't be made public is already public. Is just very sad. I mean, people don't know that the plane has crashed and that their relatives or family or friends are dead, and it's being flashed on television. That is not. There should be some ethics to things. Where is the morale of the story? All these small little things do matter, be it in football, be it in general life. And all of that has been eroded over the last decade or 15 years. And I say COVID is a very good example. This was life changing for a lot of people around the world. But have we learned something out of it? No, we haven't. So that's why, where is humanity heading? We could generalize it, have a philosophical discussion again. Then you realize, there, besides the German in me, there's a Bengali in me as well. But we've not learned our lessons, and that's a problem. Kanat says that Indian football is going backwards is evident from the fact that Sunil Chhetri had to be recalled post-retirement. Now we should look forward, irrespective of what the result of the match is. We need to look forward. I agree to that, Kanat, but we also need to be honest to ourselves. And this is something which a lot of people, I feel, don't seem to understand, that the national team is not a trial and error ground. You need to try and figure out which players can play for the national team, which players can deliver for the national team. And that is something which I felt Manolo Marquez has failed miserably, in my opinion. I expected better than that from him, but maybe I was wrong, or maybe not. Maybe I am wrong on that. I thought he could figure that out. And Malo Marquez says, "Oh, you know what? The players who play well in the ISL, that they will be able to deliver at international level." No, you have to recognize which player can perform for you at international level. And for example, I know Ashik is getting a lot of stick from a lot of people. I thought Ashik Kurunian most probably gave us a breath of fresh air. Yeah, if he had scored of one of his two chances against Hong Kong, who knows how the match could have ended. But he gave us something different. And that is something that at least there he recognized that. Again, he didn't deliver what he should have. But still, I would rather have an Ashik in there than all those other players. I mean, if you think that people are fighting for Suhail Bhatt to be in the senior national, Suhail Bhatt should have been with the under-23s. He is now. But he should have been there training with them, because I think Suhail Bhatt playing the AFC U23 Asian Cup is more important for him and for the Indian under-23s. So our priorities are wrong. What is the final verdict? I-League promotion and relegation. I-League was a good one for a long time with the structure, but that is also collapsing every season. Abhishek, I honestly don't want to speculate on the I-League, because, again, the promotion part is in CAS. So we're waiting. I think everybody's waiting for a date from CAS. When will that happen? And on the other side, relegation. I mean, if relegation is stopped this year, that will cause a lot of problems, because then the Manipur Chief Minister, or the Manipur Chief Minister of the time, Biren Singh, had requested Trao and Niroka not to be relegated. Again, then what's the worth of the system? I mean, the joke is that the people who were fighting for promotion to and relegation from the ISL are actually fighting. Yeah, that's, to me, it's not happening. Greed is the reason. Yeah, Blue, greed is the reason. Power is another reason. Influence is another reason. To see and to be seen, so that's a problem. By the way, is there any discussion happening? Blue, no, there's nothing. And I've heard now from people that supposedly there's an FSTL meeting with the clubs and all. As far as I know, FSTL is not even in the discussions in regard to Reliance in the future. So I don't know how it might have a meeting, but I don't know what influence it has on the system. I'm focused more on U23 team, but physicality, the thing is, one second. Goku says, I'm focused more on U23 team, but physicality, the thing, if our one player lacks in physicality, if a player have good physicality, lacking speed and technicality, I'm not saying every player should have all these qualities at certain position, wing backs, stopper, finger positions. Winger positions, not finger positions. Goku, we've been speaking about the education of the young players, of what they've learned from the systems, what they've come up with. And they lack things. Tell me a player, I wouldn't know anyone, maybe you do, a player who in the India under 23 setup is a complete player, who you say, okay, can play now those 5-6 matches now, and then October onwards will play in the senior team. I don't know that player, right? And this shows us that we are, for example, goalkeepers has never been a problem. Now look at our goalkeepers, Mohammad Arbaz, Priyansh Dubey, and Sahil. We're talking about 3 goalkeepers who lack the experience, and therefore that's going to be very, very interesting, right? I mean, yeah, a 19 and 18 and a 20-year-old in under 23 team. That's great on one side, but on the other side, it means where do we have that experience? I was looking at the team. If I look at and the caps, because Yunam has 1 as a defender, as the only one who has a cap. Vibin has 3 in midfield. Namte has 1. Shivaldo and Mohammad Ayman have 2. Parthiv Gogoi, the most experienced, has 4. And Mohammad Sanan has 2. And so that's the level of experience in the under 23s, because we didn't focus too much, or the older age group last summer moved out. Good evening, good Ishan. How do you see Ashik's move to BFC? I think for him it's good. I think it's a good move for him, because I think he needs change, because it looks like to me that Molina doesn't believe him much. And let's see. At BFC, of course, if he's thinking of being a left winger, then potentially Sunil is his competition. But he can play as a left attacking wing back as well, which gives the opportunity for Roshan to go to the right. So it gives you certain opportunities. Shouldn't the clubs be patient and not make transfer decisions given the lack of certainty regarding MRA renewal? Ishan, theoretically yes, practically no. If the MRA doesn't work out and the league doesn't happen and the AIFF is unable to build a new league, then all these contracts are going to be invalid, right? Because it's a force majeure, and then they say, we don't need, we don't, that's the key. I think that we should be talking about, which is the most challenging part of all of it, is how should the clubs move ahead. Many people are telling on X that the U23 team will beat senior team. They still think the younger players should get chance. Blue, maybe they should, but I don't. Again, I just looked at the squad once again and looked at their sort of experience, exposure. So therefore, for me, I don't know if I look at the players again, I've got my 3 goalkeepers are BFC, Mohun Bagan, Blasters. None of them actually with proper ISL experience. Defense, okay, I've got Barla, I've got Dipendu, I've got Bikash, Pramveer as well in there, Sajid Parai, so got a little bit of experience over there. Our midfield looks good with Mivin, with Vibin, with Fanai, with Vineet, Namte, McCartan, Shivaldo, Ayman. That looks good. Toy as well. And Kipgen as another one. So, but my attack is worrying. So therefore, I don't know. My attack and my goalkeepers are worrying. So does that add up and say we can actually challenge the senior team? I'm not too sure. Bayern Munich 10-0 versus Auckland City. Yeah, Akash shows you the difference between top level European football and amateur Oceania football. Very simple, right? And Bayern took it seriously. Therefore, they scored that many goals, and that's the reality. What do you personally think should be the first change to be done for our Indian football? Oh, good question. Because I like that question. If you ask me, the first thing, or the most important thing, in my opinion, if you ask me, is leadership. It needs to be at the top, right? If you have the right leader who himself says, you know what, this is what we need to work on, this is what we need to do. Only then can we change things, right? If you ask me, can we change things without? No, it won't. So we need new leadership, but we need new faces. In my opinion, we need people with the capabilities that is needed, and I don't want the circus of people who've been around. So yeah, that's the reality. Club World Cup very boring in USA. Actually, it's just started, and look at the World Cup as well. The World Cup comes to life at the knockout stage. I always feel there's some good matches in the group stages always, but it really comes to life in the knockout stage. And we will see that even more in next year's FIFA World Cup, that it will start at the knockout stages, it will get interesting. So therefore, keep that in mind. Will these U23 friendlies be telecasted? Ishan, I've not heard anything from the AIFF. As always, match day, we might hear something that they will be telecasted. I'm thinking if there is a telecast, at least day after, I know Saturday most probably I won't be able to, but if there is a telecast on Wednesday, I will surely try and do a watch along. Amrinder, Manvi, Vikram, and that batch of Vikram were good, but most of them deteriorated when they became seniors. Yeah, we could put in a lot more names into the list of who, especially the under 23, the under 17 World Cup batch. I say that again, I've seen them at 15, 16, 17 taking on young Germans or young German teams, or even, Austria. So yeah. If ISL doesn't happen, then every club will dissolve by filing bankruptcy. Yeah, it could be. And if the ISL doesn't happen, if FSDL pulls out, my fear is that we could get into a situation where 20, maybe even 25 clubs pull out of the system. That is my biggest fear, my biggest danger. Club World Cup is a new format. Is there hype in Europe regarding this? None in Europe. Because Ishan, I think the Europeans are very traditional. Oh, new tournament, this and that. And I've heard a lot of players, officials saying, give it a chance. And I think the interesting part, as I said, I think it'll start pre-quarters when the final 16 are announced, to maybe quarters. It's going to get interesting when the big wigs from Europe, most probably South America, maybe one or the other surprise team will make it to that stage. Bayern will win 20-0 against the Indian national team. I wish, in theory, maybe. In practicality, you never know. Every football match has to be played. For most of the matches in Club World Cup, FIFA slash prices from $350 to $30 to $50 range. Uchud, it is big, but the question is also with all politics and this and that and everything involved. Because it doesn't make it easier. Inter Germany qualified for Club World Cup due to Messi quota, says Akshay. Maybe not. Blue asks, why aren't the management and club officials are talking about the league situation? They are directly involved. Even players should ask questions. Blue, who asks questions in Indian football? Genuine. Do people in and around the AIFF ask questions? Do clubs ask questions? I mean, think about it. I was part of the last real league meeting of the Indian Super League, August 2014. Since then, there has not been a top management meeting. Unthinkable in any other league or country or whatever, right? So this is it. I know a lot of people are living in denial. People tell me, oh, no, the league will happen for sure. Some people have even wanted to place bets. I don't bet, so therefore I didn't do anything about that. But I said, guys, the reality at this moment, and I speak in the moment. I hope things will be sorted and things will work out. But at this moment, as I speak, on the 16th of June, 2025, the ISL at the moment doesn't exist. Normally, the planning's out. The AIFF has announced the schedule, right? Which in itself is a joke. But again, that's the other problem. But at this moment, as I speak to you all in this live, there is no ISL at this moment. And I know in the background, a lot of people would be very happy if it doesn't exist. But those are not, yeah. I was watching a podcast of Anas, ex-player, where he introduced a local sevens scalper to his Dutch coach, and impressed by his training sections performed, but left that place and gone back to play local sevens matches. These new Indian players choose this kind of path. I don't know where this mindset came up in players. Local matches with more money, etc. things. Goku, the problem is our own experience. And look at Bengal and Cape football, I think is the same as Kerala's sevens. Players believe that playing in those competitions with the money involved, it makes more sense for them to play sevens than rather play 11-a-side football, and if not ISL, but at least I-League level, right? That's something which we've had, right? So therefore, that's a reality. It's a sad reality, but it's a reality of Indian football, and yeah, right. And that's where we start, and that, yeah. The problem is also that sevens or even small-sided Cape football, those players need to adjust to 11-a-side football because that's a different thing. It's a different mindset. So any news regarding Manolo leaving? Akshay, as the AIFF president said the other day, what did Kalyan say on Friday? We will have an executive committee meeting on the 29th, and there we will decide on what will happen with Manolo. I think that Manolo wants to leave, I think, is information in the public domain. But what is going to happen is not very, very clear, I feel. And that's part of the problem. And is he leaving and staying in FC Goa? That's one of the possibilities. Or what else should need to happen? I honestly don't know. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. And as I've said also, Manolo has not been able to achieve what he can. He's shown in the ISL what he can do with the team, but he doesn't have the foreigners. He doesn't seem to, or he feels at least he doesn't seem to have the backing of the AIFF. And not getting through with the players and all of that together, it's not working for him. And therefore, Manolo wants to leave rather than stay. Right. 1 hour and 29 minutes. Quick reminder, if you haven't, leave a like if you're liking the conversation. If you are happy to be here, even those who might be watching and afterwards, 20 likes so far. Thank you very much. Share with other people also to join in the conversation. If you might be new to the channel, listening, liking what you're hearing, do leave a subscription behind. We're slowly growing. We're at 2,672 at the moment. So closing in on 2,700, then hopefully on 3,000. And we need to continue to grow this community of people who really want good for Indian football. I know a lot of people talk about it, but I talk from my knowledge and experience. And I also say, if I don't know something, I don't know. And those who might be new, if you want to ask questions, and that's the reality. So when Manolo contract getting over? Next year. That night he signed a 2-year contract. with an optional additional year potential. So, wait, so they didn't meet for 10 plus years? No, look, as per my information, a proper physical meeting in Mumbai has not happened since August 2014. And again, I asked about it I remember in November, are we having any follow-ups during the league season or something? Nothing of that sort happened. So proper meetings have not happened. Informal ones, yes, the one another, but you have to have proper ones, recorded minutes, and what's the outcome. None of that has really properly happened, and that's part of the problem of the system, right? Whom you want to see as next AIFF president? Akshay, I've got 2 or 3 people in my mind who I would like to see as AIFF president. Not sure if they will become AIFF president. Again, that's there's a lot of stuff happening over there in the AIFF, but to me, I have some people in my mind who I believe would be good for Indian football, but I will not discuss names publicly, so that others can come out and strike down names and say, XYZ, no, we don't want him, we don't want him, we don't want him. I'd rather, keep it in the background and have those conversations with people and try and help to push these people into higher positions of Indian football. So therefore, I've got 2-3 people in my mind, and I know that 2 of those 3 people have clearly said no, and the third person said maybe, because they also know what the situation is. But we need leadership change in Indian football, and I'm thinking of doing a short video tomorrow about that topic, and let's see if I can do that and talk about what I think is wrong. They're still discussing about future Manolo Marquez as the national coach, whom they're taking so much time for, taking so much time for single decision. Abhishek, the executive committee has also not met, no? So, what discussion? There's been no discussion about the future of Manolo Marquez, and there's been no discussion about the national team because there's been no meeting of the exco. So therefore, that's the problem. This is crazy. Then I guess the clubs shouldn't complain about schedule and stuff either. No, they don't. See, Blue, the problem is, if we go back to that discussion, everybody involved in Indian football has his or her part. Because we're in a very weird situation at this moment in time. So for me, if you ask me, a lot of people want to blame others, but don't want to take up their own share. No, they don't care either about anything except, that's the problem, right? The clubs are talking about transfers, they're talking about this, that, and then, this is wrong, that is wrong. Yeah, but why don't you try and rectify the system? That would be my question. PV Sindhu gets a jersey from Man City. She has posted an Insta video an hour ago. All these marketing foreign clubs in Indian ecosystem remains in doldrums. Would you think about it that she gets a jersey from City and that she posts, and PV Sindhu could have been given a jersey by XYZ, right? And I know BFC has done this, right, with athletes, but that's how they do it, right? We are stuck in our marketing world. We're not stuck in our real football world, and that is, I think, our biggest problem in football. Any updates regarding FIFA standard football stadium construction in India? Actually, no. You heard the president speaking about that. He's been speaking with governments and telling them, turn your I didn't even know that multi-sports stadiums, what they're called. That scares me, right? Into football arenas. If I look at it, I only see the Mumbai football arena at the top level being a football only stadium. Again, I think there are venues which desperately need a rebuild. I think my favorite example is the Nehru Stadium in Kalur, I think, which needs a desperate rebuild. Not only interest of the Blasters, but theoretically also for hosting international football. Again, there are plans in Meghalaya to build a new stadium, but that's part of their overall investment into football. But otherwise, difficult to say, right? So that's where we're stuck at this moment in time. Yeah, and elsewhere, I don't know if there are any pure footballing stadiums being planned and built. Indians should learn that coordination is more important than competition. I guess we are too selfish. Yeah, well said, Blue. And the problem is also a lot of people fight their own wars. They don't join hands and, or rather, sorry, they fight their own battles rather than fighting the war together. Let me put it this way. That's the problem. A lot of these, not a lot of, all of these entities are in the same boat, right? And they're like piranhas. They're trying to actually bite each other rather than helping each other and, working together to catch and kill the prey and then eat it and share it amongst themselves. That's the problem, I think, of Indian football, that we are not able to find means and ways of working together to work towards a common goal. And then you have people who tell you, oh, this is the way forward, that is the way forward. And you think, oh God, no, guys, you are so wrong. You're on the wrong path. That is my worry when I see Indian football, that we are not on the right path and people are not willing to accept that we're not on the right path. And and it is the way it is. And again, I hope someday things will change. But without leadership, nothing will happen. They will grind them on from the system. They will fly away is the standard officially mentality in administration in all fields. Abhishek, couldn't agree more with you. Football is a reflection of Indian society at this moment in time. And that to me is a disturbing fact, that we are unable to recognize and realize that individually you will not be able to do something. And this is something which I also say, right, that we might get the right leader at the top, but if that leader doesn't have the support of the system, you might get the perfect person as the president of the AIFF. But if that gentleman doesn't have the support of other people to do the things that he's needed to do, he is bound to fail. So therefore, finding the right leader is step one. But that right leader has the support of the system is step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Otherwise, we'll be talking about the same thing in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, in the next 20 years. And that is the disappointing thing, that the potential is there. We need to work hard to identify and find young Indian talent. Give them the right coaching at grassroots level. Give them the tools, the basics to involve. Make them also be able to think, right? That's the problem. If we don't work on those things, I don't see us going anywhere in the coming years. And that is, to me, a huge, huge problem in Indian football at this moment in time. Or Indian sports, Indian society maybe. So therefore, guys, reality. Sadly, I would like to, I for once want to talk about positive things, and I don't know when that's going to happen. But thanks once again for joining in on this Monday evening. Abhishek says, Tamil Nadu Football Association is going for an IPL-esque format with 4 teams in a state league tournament, full interest every time. Abhishek, maybe they can't organize something more as a state competition. Tamil Nadu Football Association hasn't existed. So, but again, is it wrong? Yes, it is. And Ochu says Quinn Sullivan becomes first player of South Asian descent to play for US senior team. And with that, Quinn Sullivan no longer eligible for Bangladesh. Yeah, they've lost the first Sullivan. Once again, reminder, like, share, and subscribe. arunfoot on YouTube. The more you like, the more you share, the more you subscribe, the more people can be part of our small little community to talk about Indian football. I need your support. We need to grow this community. As we realized today, people saying, organizing a physical protest in Delhi might not be it, but don't boycott. Don't boycott Indian football. Keep supporting. We need that. And as I say, watch the short videos. And thank you once again for all your support. Abhishek, also from my side, good night, everyone. Stay safe, and I'll catch you soon. Bye.